One woman versus a president. I think you know who the president is, but one woman, that doesn't narrow it down given this president. Well, the name of the book is not my type, and I am joined by E. Jean Carroll, who sued the president, Donald Trump, and won. Welcome to The Gist.
Thank you very much.
You wanted to write this book because you're a writer, and that's how you process, I assume.
I was dying to write this book. I was in the middle of a high comedy. I'm an old journalist. What am I going to do? Not write a book? I don't think so.
Yeah. And you look at every activity as fodder. In fact, that's what brought you into the dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman's, isn't it?
That's very astute. That is very astute. It was. Yeah. Ever since the age I was 12 years old, I've been in pursuit of the story. I wanted to write the story. I wanted to be a journalist. I spent 25 years trying to break into magazines. Mm-hmm. So the happiest I ever am is when I'm getting on a plane, fastening that seatbelt, flying off to meet somebody I've never met, in a place I've never been, and write the story. Right. So, of course, there was no way in hell running into Trump in front of the Bergdorfs, and he says, come help me, come advise me to buy a present. I am loving it. Loving it. I'm going to dine out on this story for years, right? So, right. Yeah.
Especially when the especially when the present turns out to be lingerie, that's just adding to the to the humor of it. And now at this point, you had written for Saturday Night Live, but you weren't an SNL writer at that time?
No.
So, but still, you look through the world through this humorous lens. And, well, you tell me, and as you wrote in the book, nothing seemed threatening for quite a while of the encounter, right?
No, at the time, I was writing the Ask E. Jean column in Elle magazine, and I had a daily talk show on Roger Ailes' network, which became, oddly enough, MSNBC. So I had a daily talk show. I had a lot of airtime. It was live, like you, every day. And actually, you started your podcast about 1996, I think. Anyway, so yeah, I
don't think there were podcasts, but yeah.
So I particularly at this time saw things as stories. And when he didn't like the hats, I suggested. He did not like the handbags, I suggested. And so when he said lingerie, I'm all for it. Never dreaming that it would be anything but the funniest thing I'd ever, lived through. So
right. Now, in retrospect, looking back, were there portions before he gets you and pins you in the locker room, were there portions of it that were menacing? Was maybe for you it was one genre and for him it was another?
No. There was none of that. I'm telling you, no. He was light. He was joshing. He was fun. It's hard to picture today because now all he does is think about himself, so all we do is think about what he's thinking about.
Right.
But at the time, he was actually able to, be entertaining and, say he was thinking about buying Bergdorf's, and that he actually asked me for my opinion. Now, that's how different he was back in those days.
Wow.
And so, no, I saw nothing. It was building. And it was building in a hilarious way. Yeah. And the adventure went on.
He was charming and you were flirtatious until suddenly it wasn't. And
flirting my brains out. Yeah.
And then you're up against the wall and kind of fighting for, if not your life, then your safety.
Every person knows what it's like to be in this kind of fight. It does feel like it's for your life. It does feel like that. And it was intense, and that's how I always thought of it, as a fight. And I got out of the room.
Yeah. And Do you think if you hadn't, you need him, right? You need him in the groin?
Tried to get my leg up.
Oh, okay.
I tried to get my leg up just so I could push him back.
Okay.
So that I did not. Boy, let me think. Trying to picture it. I did not need him in the, but I did get my leg up enough so I could push him back. His whole weight was against me. His whole weight, and so that's interesting that you would say that. You would no, I didn't though.
Do you think that what you did was physically push him off, and it was literally separating him from you with your? Then you're very athletic, you used a lot of force. Or do you think that it was more this emphasized how much you didn't like it? And if he still wanted to, he could have pursued the sexual assault that was going on.
He was I'm tall. He was about 6'2.5" at the time, 6'3". He says he's 6'3", probably 6'3". I was 5'9", wearing 4-inch heels, so that puts me at 6'1". But he weighed, what, 120? 220, 230 at the time?
Right.
I weighed 120 at the time, so he had 100 pounds on me. I'm stamping and pushing. No, I think he was intent. He wanted what he wanted. I don't think he gave up. I think I managed to struggle out.
Yeah. And the book goes through this, as does the trial, because the book has long passages of trial transcripts interlaced with your observations that are quirky and funny and well-written and often, and this is, take this as a compliment, not at all what I'd expect. But who did you have conversations with soon thereafter about this? So who would have known that you were sexually assaulted by Donald Trump in what you later determined to be 1996?
Well, as far as I could see, I never saw any other person on the floor of Bergdorf's. Yeah. I never saw any security. I never saw any. So as far as you and I are sitting right here, nobody. We established in the trial that there were no security cameras on the 6th floor. As a matter of fact, there are very few security cameras in the whole place at the time. So nobody would have known except me and Donald Trump. However, as soon as I got out, I called Lisa Birnbach. My good friend. Lisa Birnbach, at the time, was the funniest woman I knew. And I thought, if Lisa Birnbach, who wrote the Preppy Handbook, hilarious woman, I thought, if Lisa thinks this is funny, then it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Oh, okay.
That's why I called Birnbach.
So you were looking to her to be kind of a validator, and she was, just not in the way you were hoping for or expecting.
No, Lisa was. I just got goosebumps when you said that. Lisa did not laugh. It was terrible. She was feeding her dinner to her children. She had to step out of the room to say, and this is in the court transcript, E. Jean, he raped you.
Yeah.
And those are words I didn't want to hear.
And so what did you do with it for a decade, 2 decades?
Oh, Lisa, first of all, said, let me take you to the police. We've got to go to the police. Eugene, I'll go with you. And I said, no. The next day, I ran into Carroll Martin, who I worked with at America's Talking. She also had a TV show, and I just saw Carroll, and I needed a hug. I said, I've got to talk to you. We went to her house. Carroll was very upset to hear what happened. I had to tell her like twice so she could get the story. And then she tells me, do not go to the police. Whatever you do. He's got 200 lawyers. He will bury you.
Yeah.
So for the next 20-odd years, I didn't speak up. First of all, I knew Roger Ailes would fire me from my talk show. I knew I'd be fired from Elle. I knew Trump would come after me. I knew he had as Carroll said, 200 lawyers. I was quiet. And then I reached the age of 75 and I said, fuck it. I'm not going to be why? No, I got, this is it. And then I spoke up. And then at 80, I beat him twice.
Do you think the Me Too movement, if that hadn't been in the air, and part of why it was in the air was a reaction specifically to Donald Trump. But if it was just Donald Trump being the threat to the democracy that I know you've called him, if it was just him and your experience, would that have been enough for you to come forward? Or was it also everything that was going on societally?
Oh, when the Megan Twohey, Jody Cantner story broke in the New York Times, weren't you overwhelmed with the Harvey Weinstein story?
Right.
Weren't you just knocked back when all those women came forward across the country?
And the front, I also remember the front page of that New York magazine with all of the Cosby accusers.
Oh, my God.
That was big.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm sure you know women who have been assaulted.
Yeah, we all do if we talk to women.
Yeah. Any woman over the age of 40 and went to college has been assaulted in some way. It is amazing. And here they got the women to come forward. It had a huge impact on me. Huge. Of course. That's why I thought, no, I'm not going to. I was such a hypocrite because I was advising women in my column to come forward, and there I was, So, yeah.
Right. Well, your column might have been good advice, but this is, by the way, true of many columnists who I've spoken to over the years. The columnist often doesn't take the advice. You know how to give the advice, but there are other areas you talk about where that's true.
Yeah. Well, the trick to having an advice column is you find out what people want to do, and then you tell them, say, go ahead, do it, do it. That's how you have an advice column.
Right. And you were seen as, I don't know if it was licentious, but certainly you weren't seen as a blue nose or someone to look down on the enjoyment of sex. But as you write in the book and as you say under oath, you didn't have sex ever after Donald Trump did that to you. No,
I never did. And I can't get over it, even though I know ways to try to overcome it. I cannot do it. I cannot do it. Mentally, I'm just got that grate has come down. And
But there were also other, and I know from your last book, you've had many, you accused Les Moonves of sexual assault, but there were anonymous or unnamed in your memoirs, right? Like a babysitter's boyfriend, and on a date, a guy pulled a knife on you. So this has happened a few times, right?
Well, I'm a 81-year-old woman.
Right.
I have led an adventurous life. I have not spent my life in the house. I actually leave the house. And therefore, I've run into hundreds of men that I like. Hundreds. But there were a few that were not so good. There was also the guy who took my Prius and tried to change the wheel thing and completely fucked up my car. He's on the list. I mean, I have run into some bad guys. Yes. Men have attacked me on dates. One pulled a knife. My babysitter's boyfriend when I was 4. Yes, I've had some. I've run into. It's not unusual though. It's just that I remember them.
But Donald Trump was the last sexual encounter you had, even though you went through all of this throughout your life. That is the fact.
That's a fact.
And I wouldn't, and if I'm being insensitive by calling it a sexual encounter and in any way implying it was something other than an assault, I'm sorry about that. But I just wanted to.
No, you got to.
Yeah, I just want to make the audience
suing
understand.
everybody.
Right. When you decided then to come forward, so this is when you wrote about it in New York Magazine, right?
Right.
What was your process for? You knew probably you'd be sued. You knew you'd be called a liar. So what was your process for getting everything in a row to buttress your case?
Even though I knew that, nobody could have seen him taking 3 days from the bully pulpit of the White House. And whoa, I could not have foreseen that. I had no... He is I hate to say this, the most powerful man on the planet right now. Nobody has more power. I had no concept of that. I had no concept of what his followers would do, because they believe every word. They believed I was a dangerous woman. They believed I'm a Democratic operative. They believe I did it to sell a book. They believe I am a liar, a skank, horrible, horrible person. And I could not have seen that coming. And but yes, there's a price to pay. Well, I'm sure none of the Cosby people did, and the 27 women who've come forward about Donald Trump, each one of whom, or several of whom, he has dragged through the mud. I knew there would be, I'm not completely ignorant. I knew there would be a price, but
Yeah.
I was willing to pay it.
There were certain parts of the New York story that, since you wrote it, solidified. For instance, originally you were not sure if it was 1995 or 1996, but then you take us through process of elimination and actually talking to Lisa, and when she did a profile of Trump, that you determined that it was 1996, not 95. But do you wish you had done that beforehand just to eliminate one talking point, or is it more like they're going to say what they're going to say?
No, I didn't know it was 95 or 96, had no idea. And then Lisa is cleaning out her files, and she's the one who finds the story. That she'd been to Mar-a-Lago. And so we figured out Lisa would never have gone to Mar-a-Lago when she went to Mar-a-Lago if I had called her and told her what Trump had done. So we knew the attack happened after that. So that way we could put the date pretty, within 4 or 5 weeks.
Right. As someone who didn't, well, I will just say, believe women is actually a slogan that I find some problems with, because some women lie.
I do too.
Okay. Women are humans, right? And especially the criminal justice system can't default to that. So I kept, I don't know if you want to call it an open mind, but I was evaluating your claims. I had no reason to disbelieve you. But I did listen to what Trump was saying. And to me, the fact that you had those two ambiguous dates and you acknowledged that actually went a bit further for me saying, well, if she was just lying and it was just a concocted story, she should have something more solid than either 95 or 96. That's just how I thought.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that makes me feel better. You mean you didn't fall for the thing that he said, that I stole the plot from Law and Order?
No. See, that's another thing. That
I know, it's nuts.
He will lie about things that are true. You know this, right? He will make up stories even when the truth is actually, exonerative or not so bad or fine. It's just what he does. So tell me about, there is you coming forward, you telling your story as a sexual assault survivor, and him ripping into you. And so now there's a change in the law during the course of everything that goes on. But originally, the first case that you had against him was, tell me if I'm right, it was a defamation case. It wasn't originally a sexual assault case. Is that right? Because at that point, the statute of limitations was over?
You are absolutely correct. The first case was called Carroll 1, and that was strictly defamation for the 3 days that he just dragged me through the mud from the White House. That's the first case. Then New York passed the Adult Survivors Act, which opened the window of allowing victims to come forward who have been sexually assaulted, but the time frame had closed. In other words, we would not have had the Sean Combs trial without the Adult Survivors Act. Because the main accuser, Sean Combs' main accuser, Cassie, came forward because of that act. And now many states have that Adult Survivors Act like it. There's now a movement to make it permanent. Because usually women, it's very difficult for women to, go to the police and come forward when the man can make sure they are fired. And that's what happens. If a woman has 2 kids and is supporting the family, there's no way in hell she can come forward. Because powerful men are always believed over women. So this is why they have the Adult Survivors Act, because when you're young and you have kids in high school, in college, you can't come forward. You can't come forward. So, you have to wait until you become a fully mature person and understand what coming forward means, that some victims actually can't come forward.
You sue Trump. He's the president. He's shielded from lawsuit. It takes a while to depose him. Your lawyer is Roberta Kaplan, who the book's dedicated to, and she has since become a good friend of yours. Before they changed the law, and I think she was instrumental in getting it changed, what was your understanding of how this would play out legally?
Before? Oh, well, we thought we were going to win the defamation case.
Yeah, just Carroll 1, as they call it.
Yeah,
you
Carroll.
thought you were coming...
we thought that we were going to win that. We knew that we were going to win that the minute Robbie Kaplan flew to Mar-a-Lago and deposed Trump. We knew we were going to win that one.
What did he say in the deposition? Remind us.
I can't remember. What did he say? Well, they're in the deposition. So Robbie tells him, I'm not exaggerating, 3 times that she is about to show him a photograph of the woman called E. Jean Carroll. First, she's established he's never met me, he doesn't know me, and then she gets him to admit, yes, he knows there's a photo of me together, and it was at a Saturday Night Live party, even though he always says a coat line. It's not. It's from a Saturday Night Live party. And so she has told him 3 times. Then she presents him, exhibit number, 23 or 27. She said, please identify the people in this photo. And Trump looks at it. He does not recognize Ivana. And then he looks at my husband, John Johnson. He said, that's John Johnson. And he said, that's Marla. And Robbie said, you're pointing, who is that? And he says, yeah, that's Marla. That's my wife. And Alina Haba, Esquire, leaps in and said, no, that's Carroll. And that was that moment.
Well, he then goes on to say the photo's blurry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Which, you note in the book, plays really well with the jury because they're looking at that literal photo and they could say, it's not blurry. Maybe this is not someone whose word should be taken on faith. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. There's for instance, of what you just said. He lies when he doesn't need to lie. He didn't need to lie there.
The photo's
they
blurry.
Can
we all could see.
See, that's what you just said. Yeah.
Right.
Well taken.
In order to win both lawsuits, you have to testify. Now, he doesn't, and this may have helped him, may have hurt him, but you have to testify. And so a lot of the book is about preparing to testify and what you say under oath. And before you even wrote the book, this was all available in the public record, so we could read the words. What was interesting and additive to me was the emotion that you were feeling during it. And what was very interesting to me is how much preparation went into that moment. Very much concerned with how you presented yourself to the jury, not just in what you said, but how you looked. You had to look like, well, what? Describe what all of the effort to get you the right haircut and the right outfit. What was all that effort about?
I had to look fuckable. Mm-hmm. Beginning a story and end a story. That's how I had to look, because the jury in a mock, Robbie and the Carroll team held mock jury exercises. That's a mock trial. And they presented our entire case to 27 typical New Yorkers, divided it into 3 juries, and they all agreed on 3 things. Yes, a man and a woman could end up in a dressing room in Bergdorf Goodman. Yes, something sexual could have happened between that man and a woman in Bergdorf Goodman in 1996. And yes, one of those people was Donald Trump and the other one was E. Jean Carroll. Yes. However, all the men thought I was begging him for it. because I was too ugly, too old, too desiccated to be attacked. That was going to be a problem. So we looked at clips from my talk show in 1996 when it happened. I found Lisa Corvelli, the hairdresser who cut my hair and colored my hair, and the one Lisa did my makeup, and we did the exact look. I even wore the clothes, the jacket I'm wearing on the cover of the book. That's from Bergdorf's 1993, and I wore it during trial. I wore the clothes I wore then. I wore the shoes, the skirts. I wore things I wore, and I looked Look, I'm old. I'm an old crone. I get it. But I look like somebody who could have looked like that woman in 1996.
Mm-hmm. And, I want to make clear, Finding Lisa, this was your old hairstylist from the old TV show. She wasn't in the world of New York City hairstyling. She was like working at her husband's Italian restaurant or something like
she's
this.
in the wine cellar of Hapgood's restaurant in New Jersey. That's where I find her.
But she's the only one who could give you that haircut.
The only one, and the hair color, and the makeup. She, So
before you did the mock trials, was this something that Roberta and her team of Robbie and her team of really seasoned lawyers had anticipated? Because the impression I got was it took the mock trials to point out just this, that the look was so important.
We found, our entire strategy changed from the mock trials. As Robbie said, we were idiots. We live in a liberal bubble. We didn't even see the gender divide in this country. We didn't see it. I mean, you probably see it because you're talking to a varied number of guests. We did not see it because we're surrounded with liberal people here in New York. Except our jury was upstate, oddly enough.
Well, I know you say that, but Southern District of New York, the furthest upstate they could have gone is Rockland. And I looked at who the jury was.
Orange County.
Okay.
No. Oh, no.
There were jurors from Orange County, really?
No, and above Orange County. Southern. No, we had many people from upstate Trump country.
Yeah.
No, that was not as Robbie says, avocado eating, toast eating, Manhattan jury. No. These were upstaters.
And there was also the incident where someone got on the jury and when asked, where do you get your news? You thought he said Temple, but what he said was Tim Pool, the right-wing, he's a little conspiratorial more than hard right. He always wears a beanie. So here's my question, though. You had a staff of all the best lawyers and trial consultants, and no one heard Tim Pool? Everyone in the press heard him say Tim Pool, but not. Maybe that's the bubble, too. You didn't realize who Tim Pool was. Yeah.
There is the bubble. And as soon as that happened, Robbie had a meeting with the judge and said, Judge, I'm sorry, we misunderstood. We would like to have him taken off the jury. Because Tim Pool had done several podcasts particularly about E. Jean Carroll and what a lying skank she was. Mm-hmm. So Robbie really did, and Judge Kaplan called the guy in and asked him, will you be able, do you think, to render a decision which is fair to both sides? And the Tim Pool guy said, yes, he would. And Judge Kaplan said, you're on the jury.
Yeah. And let the record show civil juries in New York, like most places, have to be unanimous. 9-0. Yeah. He was one of the ones who sided with you. But what they were doing before, what you had to figure out through the mock trials and why you had to dress the part was the people in your mock jury and presumably whoever you would seat in your jury would, in fact, be agreeing with Trump with the title of your book, that you couldn't have been his type.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was our problem.
Yeah. And so the question is, as much as you compliment the jury and say the system worked and position it as some advance for accountability, Me Too, feminism, in a way it's not. I mean, in a way, you had to wear a costume to get people to see your side.
Oh, but please. Get the hell out of here. Every woman knows we dress in a costume. Come on. Everybody knows it. When you and your wife have date night, she's going to be wearing something really pretty, and it's going to make her feel like $1 million.
Yeah.
So there. No. What? Please.
I knew as the advice columnist, you'd see right through that. So tell me about, let's just skip ahead because we know that the jury found for you and you did many press tours, but I want to know about how you actually get the money. Did you even think about this before the verdict was in, or did you have to stay laser focused on just getting the verdict?
Oddly enough, I never cared about the money. I don't care about the money now because I'm going to give it away. Money is not my. I don't need to buy stuff. If I get some money, I'm going to give it to you to get rid of that curtain behind you. So.
That's the podcast comment of the year.
No, you know what? It never occurred to me to think about the money. What I want to do is get my name back because he called me a lying skank. He didn't say skank. He called me a liar 27 times in 3 days. Now, that's not good if you're an advice columnist because nobody's going to believe it. It's not good if you're a journalist. So I had to get that back. So that was my main thing. Also, just to hold him accountable.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even thinking of the money for your personal use. I was thinking to hold him accountable insofar as it would hurt Trump, which is why the jury exceeded even what you were asking, as I understand it. Is that right? Did you find out from them why they gave such a big award?
No, the jury was anonymous. We never found out their names, what they did for nothing, where they lived, whether they were married, saying nothing. You know why? Because this is like a mob trial, and a criminal is in the courtroom. And he was talking to the jury every single day, as you know, even though he's not allowed. You know, he on True Social, sometimes 40 posts an hour.
Yeah.
So, no.
But why? Okay, maybe did anyone in your legal team offer an explanation as to why the amount was so high?
Oh, yeah, Robbie and Sean G. Crowley. Robbie delicious. In her final argument, when Trump was sitting in the courtroom, addressed the jury for the final time to bring our case. And what she did was she used everything she got from Trump's deposition for the fraud trial, where he bragged about all the money he was worth. And she said to the jury, and he says his brand is worth $10 billion. She was just telling the jury how much money he has because her argument was, how much money will it take to make him stop? $5 million didn't make him stop last time. How much is it going to make him stop? Because his followers were threatening me every single day. And Robbie wanted him to be stopped. And as she was reaching her peak about how rich he was, well, you know what he did. He stood up and turning absolutely, he looked like a walking bonfire. Flames were coming out of his ears and steam was coming off the top. And he walked out during Robbie's final argument. Now, what does that show to a jury?
Contempt of them.
Yes. Also, it's guilty people that turn and run. It's not the guy who's innocent. The guy who's innocent sits there and says, what the hell are you doing? I'm innocent. He turned and ran. When Robbie started to detail the money and asked, what will it take to make him stop?
Yeah, I'll read that part. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a campaign rally. It's not a press event. This is a court of law, and it's Mrs. Carroll's life. Donald Trump sexually assaulted her. He defamed her. He keeps defaming her. He is not the victim. This is her life. Help her take it back. Make him stop. Make him pay enough so that he will stop. And then he turns and walks. And so if that's the lingering message and image, you could see pairing the two and saying, well, he just literally walked out, we'll have to think of a number high enough that it could possibly make him stop.
Exactly.
Now, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if it will, because I've covered the back and forth about him producing a surety bond and does he have enough money? And he says he does. He just doesn't want to ever produce it. Even understanding that you're not in it for the money, justice requires that he pays up. So take me through that. What does your
Should I
lawyer say?
let out the dog first? I'm sure your viewers were very edified by that little display.
Which dog is that? Who was that? Was that Miss Havisham? Which dog?
That was Miss Havisham, who got up to run out to see what Guffington von Fluke was barking about. Well, they're good watchdogs, though. Don't look at my house, because those dogs will tear you to shreds. Don't be coming down here to my house.
All right. So the question was, take me through how you try to actually get the money.
Well, the $5.5 million is with the court,
Right.
the New York federal court. Judge Kaplan has that money. So after he gets done appealing, the United States Court of Appeals Second Circuit has said, we're done with you. You have no more appeals, because he lost every single one. So that's where the $5 million is. He may appeal to the Supreme Court. Let me ask you, what do you think? The odds are the Supreme Court's going to take a sexual assault case by the current president.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think that call me naive, and we all understand. We all understand that the court was many Trump appointees, and then Alito and Thomas, who aren't, almost always side with him. I still think the merits of the case will be the major determinant, and I don't know if there are merits to that appeal.
There are no merits.
What do you think? Do you think they'll take the case?
What?
Do you think the Supreme Court would take the case?
No, I don't. And neither does Robbie. Gives it an 85% chance they're not going to take it.
Okay.
But the second case, the defamation case, the 83.3, there's a chance they're going to take that on presidential immunity. Mm-hmm. And they will lose that because they waived presidential immunity in that specific case twice.
So how much of it did he have to put up? With
95. He had to put up $95 million for an $83 million bond.
And he did, or
yes.
At least he put up enough, and some of it was lent to him, though, from what I understand.
I don't know about that. Well, you know what? Who knows?
Well, what does your lawyer say? Was she thinking that he might not even be able to make the bond?
No. Well, yeah. We knew he was having trouble making the bond. He couldn't make the bond. Yeah, I know there was a lot of arguments about it. And so that was a rough period for him. But he made the bond, and now, of course, he's richer than God with his. No, really. He's making millions every day as we're sitting here. He's probably made $300 million while you and I had this little conversation.
Yeah.
No, let's say he's made nearly $1 million during this conversation. That's more accurate.
Right. The Truth Social is going up as a stock. He has his untraceable crypto income. And then, Melania has a few $10 million deals from Amazon here and there, and it all adds up.
The crypto is where he's really making it.
Yeah.
And he's selling perfume and all that other stuff.
Sure. He's not stopping with that. Did you think that he was going to keep defaming you? Because that was the pattern. He was losing. He'd defame you. Looked like he was on the hook to lose some more. But it has stopped from what I can see. He's not happy with you, but he's not actively defaming you anymore.
No.
I don't think.
Well, I think I'm off his I think I'm off his radar for now. Although people keep mentioning it because of the Epstein thing, that now, not only are they mentioning Epstein, but they're also saying in most stories, and he has been held liable for sex. Okay, so I try not to guess whatever Trump is going to do. I don't know.
By the way, did you know Epstein? Did he come across your radar?
No, I never met him. Have you met him?
I've not met him, although I have friends who were in the high school that he taught at, even though he was not a college graduate.
Whoa. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Well, I interviewed Jill Harth, one of the Trump accusers for Vanity Fair, and she had something called the Calendar Girl Beauty Contest, and she was at Mar-a-Lago with 6 of her contestants, and Trump brings Epstein to take the girls through Mar-a-Lago on the tour, and Trump misbehaved on that tour. He attacked Jill, and pretty badly. And that night, he, according to Jill's lawsuit, which she withdrew, that he bothered one of the girls that night.
Oh, why'd she withdraw it?
Her husband settled with Trump, and part of the settlement was Jill would withdraw her suit.
For a time, the more accusers came forward and the better evidence that was developed beyond just accusations, the more Trump gained in popularity by the people, the people who were in his thrall, let's just say, if not cult. Do you think the Epstein case has a chance to break that pattern?
Yeah, well, you would hope, but it's not going to, because people, this is my theory. We love a strong man. We love a strong man. We all love everybody loves a strong man. Men, women, children love a strong man. Part of the mystery of a strong man is he can have anything he wants, and that includes women. So he's a strong man. I think he's going to shake off the Epstein thing. I think he's about ready to shake it off now. We like a strong man. Sorry, this is, what's really bothers me is the MAGA crowd is all in a huff about was he on the plane, and was it. And here are 27 or 48 or 53 women who've come forward, and they ignore all that about Trump. Can you explain that to me? Why would that be? What do you think? Why is that?
Oh, it's because Trump is mostly about narrative. He's more about narrative than any other politician. Every politician tells a story, hope and change, or that's not what you can do for your country. Yeah. But Trump is all a story, a story that adheres the faithful, the wilder it gets. So the more unlikely it gets, the more it bonds people to it. Yeah. This is a characteristic of cults. And so I think more accusations just make the cult more fervent. Okay.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I do know. This is interesting. You've lived a very, very interesting life, and you've become Miss Havisham, and you've become a symbol of a woman who was vindicated in the end and faced down her accuser. You're also in the middle of our societal reckoning with sexual assault that's sometimes called Me Too. On the other hand, exactly what we were talking about, that you have a guy in the White House, returned to the White House, credibly accused and in courts, in your case, found to have committed sexual assault. Are we 2 steps forward, 1 step back? Are we progressing as a society? What's your assessment, society-wise, about where we are in powerful men getting away with assaulting women, or even non-powerful men?
Right now we're going backwards. Mm-hmm. And we'll go forwards again. But as you know, it swings. And women are the litmus test. And women have been shoved back about 50 years. Watch what happens with women. They foretell the future of the country. The minute Dobbs went down and women lost rights over their own bodies, it was over. And it's now we have the immigrants. Now we have concentration camps. Now if a woman has a pregnancy that goes bad, she will bleed to death in a parking lot. So we're going back right now, but I fervently believe we will go forward again. I don't know when we're going to turn around. I am trying to start. I'm getting sick of people sitting on their lazy asses. So anybody who has nothing to do, go to E. Jean Carroll Substack. I'm going to start a little something, and we're going to disrespect the president. That's what we're going to do.
E. Jean Carroll is the author of Not My Type, One Woman versus a President. Thank you so much.
Wow. This has been a fascinating interview. You asked me questions that nobody asked me before.
Yeah, no, it was a fascinating book. I have to say, I followed it as a news story, but I didn't know what to expect or how much to expect. But you write so vividly. It was a pleasure to read the book.